Hi YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Shamariiman, and today I'm going to be talking about my life with endometriosis. So for those of you who don't know what endometriosis is, basically in layman's term, is when your uterine lining grows on other organs in your pelvic region, and each month when you have a normal menstrual cycle, all of that tissue that grew in other areas, it also bleeds as well. The problem with that is it doesn't have anywhere to go. So what happens is it starts to form cysts, and it starts to cause your organs to fuse and things like that, depending on what stage of endometriosis that you're in. So with my experience, up until the point when I found out that I had it, I had no issues with my menstrual cycle. Basically, one day I was on my period, and I was having really bad cramps, but I'm used to having bad cramps, but it was to the point where I was at work hunched over, I couldn't stand up. So when I finally got home, I took some medicine, and it really wasn't working. But I was like, okay, you know, this is just one of those bad periods. I'm gonna just lay down, and then the next day I'll be fine. So I was totally wrong. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, I get this sharp pain that shot from the right side, my lower pelvic area, to my navel area. And so I sat up, and I was like, dang, these cramps are kicking my butt. All of a sudden, I'm still kind of in and out of sleeps, but I'm sitting up. So finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna just lay back down, it's gonna be okay. So I tried to lay back down, and it happened again. That's when I was like, wait, hold up, something ain't right. So I was like, okay, let me go, because I had a boyfriend at the time. I was like, let me go in the living room and, you know, just try to see if I can get this to go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can maneuver a different type of way and the pain will go away. No, the pain got worse, and it got worse quick. It got so painful to the point that I was in tears. So probably about 20 minutes later, I finally called my mom, because I'm in Dallas by myself, no family. I have one friend, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Who was I going to call at 3 o'clock in the morning? So I called my mom. She lives back in Slidell, New Orleans area. And she's like, and I'm crying on the phone, and I'm telling her, and then she's like, go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, drove myself there in agony. And when I get there, I tell them where the pain's coming from, and they're like, they send me back to the back quickly. So I'm like, okay, they think I'm having an appendicitis. And I'm like, okay, that's what I was thinking it was too. Like, I never had this problem before, so I had no reference to go off of. So I get to the back. They're hooking me up to IVs and everything like that. They're giving me pain medicine, and then they sent me off to do a CT. They did X-rays, and then they did an ultrasound. Finally, probably about an hour later, a doctor comes in. It was maybe 2 hours later. A doctor comes in, and he tells me that you have a massive cyst. He said it was 8 centimeters. It's the size of a full-size orange, so it's about this big. You have that size of a cyst on your right ovary, and you have something going on with your left fallopian tube. So at this point, I'm like, what? Mind you, I don't have any kids. So my life flashing before my eyes at this point, because I'm like, wait, hold up. What are you talking about? So then they thought that I had some type of infection on the fallopian tube. So they were like, we're going to keep you overnight, and we're going to run antibiotics for the next 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, what's the infection? Nobody could tell me what the infection was. Like, to this day, they never, you know, there was no infection, honestly. They just had me on antibiotics, because from the look of the CT, it looked like it was some type of infection. But honestly, like, they never was able to say it's this, it's that. So I still don't know. Anyway, so I stayed overnight. And when they sent me to the women's ward. It was like the labor and delivery area, kind of, but it was really for women that was out of like post-op surgery for things like that. And they sent this other doctor in there. This man was something else. I'm gonna just say that he was something else. He's like, okay, so do you have kids? And I was like, no. He was like, do you want to have any? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, well, you might want to start right now, because at this point they still haven't told me like any type of diagnosis at this point. They just told me that I have a cyst, and and I also have I didn't find that out that day, did I? I did. I had fibroids in my uterus. So a cyst, fibroids in my uterus, and I had something going on with the left fallopian tube. So he tells me, you need to start trying if you want to have these kids. And I'm sitting up there like, when he left out, I just started crying. I'm like, of course I wanted kids. Like, that's something that I've always wanted. That's like the ultimate goal for me. But I had no plans of like having a baby at that point. I mean, I wasn't in no serious nothing. So it was like, what the hell am I about to do? So I stayed overnight. My mom comes down, my best friend comes down, and they released me the next day. And from that moment on, like the bottom of my stomach, like my pelvic area, it felt like something was there. Like it just felt heavy. I felt bloated all the time. It was so uncomfortable for the longest. So they put me on antibiotics to go home too, and then I had to schedule an appointment with my OBGYN. So I did, and she wanted to see me in a month. So fast forward to July 11th, I finally had my post appointment, I guess you call it. And so she does another ultrasound because they're trying to see if the antibiotics work, and they're trying to see, if the cyst shrunk any or anything like that. So I do the ultrasound, and she's like showing me on, because I'm like laying there, and they have like a screen where I can see, what she's looking at, and she's like showing me, the size of the cyst. She's showing me the tumor, the fibroids in my uterus. She's showing me like all of that, and I'm just sitting up there like, wow, really? I'm only 24. Like, what's going on? So then, after all of that, I finally get to meet the doctor. This is my first time ever meeting this lady. Like, I just moved here a couple of months ago, probably like 6 months ago, not even 6 months. And she's like, well, the cyst is still there. There is no change from the, information that I received from the emergency room. There is no change in any of your status. So the best thing that we can recommend is you to have surgery to have it removed, because the only thing that I could see is that it'll get bigger. Or you can, try to just do other things to see if it'll shrink. You can just wait and see. And so I'm a holistic type of person. I don't really like taking medicine or, having surgeries and things like that. So in my mind, that was like the first thing that hit. But then she was like, when I was your age, I had this same thing going on, and I tried to wait it out, to see if anything would change or anything like that. And I ended up having to have the surgery because it just didn't change. So I left her office. I didn't give her any answer or anything like that, but I left her office, and as soon as I got in the car, I called the clinic back, and I was like, I want to schedule a surgery. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm having surgery. Like, what is going to happen? Like, all type of things are going through my head at this point. There's still no diagnosis of endometriosis at this point. I knew what it was at this point. Somewhat. I didn't know like the ins and out of it, but I've heard of it. I knew that it was painful and stuff like that, but it never registered with me that you have endometriosis. Like, it never. So fast forward to a month later, August 14th, I go in to have the surgery. So she comes in, and I'm like, okay, so what's about to happen? And so I was like, my main concern is, will I be able to have kids after this? And she goes to explain, well, the left fallopian tube, it looks like it's infected and it's not getting any better. So my goal is to keep all of your reproductive organs. I know you're young and you still want to have kids, so my goal is to, you know, help you do that. If I don't have to remove the fallopian tube, I won't. I'll try to clean it up as much as I can. I'm going to remove the cysts and I'm going to remove the fibroids. So I'm like, okay, cool. Still in my head, I'm like, oh my God, what if she go in? She has to remove the tube. Oh my God, I'm going to freak out. Like, I'm like, if I can't have kids, I'm just going to, I don't know what to do. So I have the surgery. I come out and then she comes in and that's when she breaks the news to me that you have endometriosis. You were stage 3 endometriosis. And I'm like, okay. Like I said, I knew what it was, but I didn't at the same time. Like I didn't know all the ins and outs. So she starts to explain to me, like, you were at the point where, you know, if you would waited any longer, it would have been a stage 4, and that's when all your organs fused together, and then it would have really put you at risk of not having any kids. And you were at a stage 3, but I cleaned you up really good, and we can actually talk about, you know, all of your options once you recover, basically. So I'm like, okay, cool, kind of, like, I don't know, because I'm still kind of doped up. I'm still kind of in pain too. So fast forward to November 2017. Well, actually August, like maybe 2 weeks after the surgery, she had to see me again for my follow-up, for my post-op for the of the surgery or whatever. So I get there and she's telling me all of my options and everything like that. And she tells me about this drug called Lupron. So I'm like, okay, so what is this basically going to do? She did tell me that it would stop my periods, but she didn't tell me, like, hey, we're putting you into early menopause. She didn't tell me that. Had I known, I might have done a little bit more research and whatnot, because that's the devil. That's the devil drug. I don't care what nobody say. That is the devil in itself. But at the time, she's like, you know, this will be your best chance at, you know, being able to have kids, because I know you're not ready, you know, right now. And I know that you're not in a position right now to, you know, have no kids. But she was like, if you want to have kids, right now would be the best time, since you all cleaned up. Right now would be the best time for you to try. But I'm like, man, this dude is not that serious to be trying to have kids. Like, hold up. But in my head, I'm like, let's just do it. But we didn't. But so I had to wait, that was in August. I had to wait all the way until November for my insurance to approve Lupron. And basically what Lupron is, it's an injection. It's a hormone, basically. So it stopped my periods. It basically stops your estrogen. If I'm remembering correctly, it stops your estrogen. So it stopped my periods, but not only did it stop my periods, I was having hot flashes, I was having mood swings, I was having joint problems, I was having memory loss, I was growing facial hair, I gained all this weight that I'm still trying to get off 2 years later. It was just a whirlwind of issues that I was having on this drug. It was horrible. Like, it sent me literally into a depression. Like, I really was in a depression. Like, I would miss work and everything. It was that bad. So the drug is supposed to last you 3 months, you know, from that first injection. So when I went back in February, baby, I told her, look, I can't take this no more. I can't. I was literally going crazy. I was so depressed. I was on antidepressants because that's how, and I had bad anxiety because it was just too much. Like, it wasn't even the symptoms that was making me depressed. It was the medicine itself that was just causing me to I was just in a dark place. That's the devil drug, y'all. I'm telling you. If you have endometriosis, please look into other options. Because, and I know there's not many options for endo. I know that. But Lupron, in my experience, was nothing nice. Okay, Lupron was nothing nice. I did not have a good experience at all. I do not recommend that to anybody. And in all the groups that I'm in on like Facebook, everybody say the same thing. Like, they have horrible experiences with it, like so bad. Anyway, so February I go back to get the injection again. Thank God Almighty. Oh my God. I had to call my pharmacy and have them order the drug and have them ship it to my gyno, but I didn't know this, so I didn't do it. So when I get there, they're like, we have no medicine to give you. And I'm like, what you talking about? And they were like, well, you just have to call and blah, 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 and all of this. And because I was about to get it again, I didn't go in with the intentions of not getting it again. I just was saying to myself, I'm gonna just have to suck it up, like, and I'm gonna have to get it again. But then something in my head just kept telling me, tell her what's going on. Tell her what's going on. And she was like, and she looked at me. I didn't even say anything. She just looked at me and she was like, what's wrong? And I just told her. I told her everything, all the symptoms that I'm having. Like, I just broke it down to her, and she was like, well, we don't want to put you back on that then. And I was like, okay. But it was still like, okay, so if I don't do that, then what am I going to do? Like, there's nothing that I can do. Like, what's going to help me not become infertile? So she was like, we can put you on birth control. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no. Like, no, that's another hormone. No. So she was like, here, you can have these free samples. Let me know, blah, blah, blah. I take the samples. She was like, take them on Sunday. You can start off fresh with a new week or whatever. So I had every intentions of taking them. Once again, I was just going to go with the flow. Because I was like, what's my other option? She's not telling me anything else but Lupron or birth control. That's the only two things. Sunday came. I had the pills in my hand. I was about to do it. And then I was just like, nope. I'm not taking no more hormones. I'm not putting nothing else in my body that's going to be mood altering or anything like that. Because depression is real, y'all. Like, when it offends me now, 2 years later, or 1 year later, because that was literally last year, it offends me when people say they're depressed and they really just upset about a situation. It makes me so upset because I'm like, you're not depressed. You're upset. You don't know depression, okay? You don't know depression until you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do anything that you normally do. You don't know depression, so let's stop playing, okay? But that's another topic for another video. Anyway, so I didn't receive another cycle until June 1st of 2018. So I didn't have a period from November until June. So it took months for that drug, even though I didn't take the second dose, it took months for the drug to finally wear off enough for me to get a period and for me to start. It gradually went away to where I started feeling normal mentally as well. It took a minute. Like, I feel like honestly, I would say probably like once my period came, probably around that time is when I can say I started feeling regular in the head. Now, as far as the weight gain, I ain't been able to get the weight off since. Like, no lie. I still have joint issues since then. And I don't have a lot of facial hair, but I still get a little, strain here or there. And I don't have memory issues too bad anymore. Like, I don't, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if I had memory issues. But yeah, I don't have any of those problems, but it took 6 months or 5 months for the drug to wear off after I didn't get the second dose. That was horrible. Horrible. Anyway, so after the drug is out of my system, I I was fine. I felt fine. I had my periods. I was so scared that I was going to have a horrible period. I just knew I was going to be in some pain and agony that I wasn't going to be able to deal with. But it wasn't bad. Then July came. I had another period. It wasn't bad. It was still, you know, I had cramps, but it still wasn't bad. August, September, October, November, then December 2018, out of nowhere, I just started having the worst pain ever. I literally, my back on the right side only would throb. It was like a dull throbbing pain. Like it felt like somebody was just had a nail and just ding 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 just constantly on my back on the right side with the ovaries. And then it would be like I don't get cramps, but it's just like a pain. It's just like a radiating pain. I don't even know if I'm explaining it right. It's just a pain. And that didn't happen until December of 2018. So what I had to do was I started taking this stuff called Serrapeptase. Okay, so this is what I use for my endometriosis. It's called high potency Serrapeptase. It's 120,000 SPUs, and it's supposed to help support healthy sinuses and help break down unwanted protein. So I started taking this in February or March of this year, and baby, my pain went from a 10 to a 5. Okay, I went from having to take two 800 milligram ibuprofens, which is 1600 milligrams, to having to take only 200 milligram ibuprofen pills. So from 1600 to 400, they work amazing. Now, it's not going to work overnight. It's not something that you're going to take tonight and then your pain going to go away. It's not a pain pill. Basically, it's going to help break down all that scar tissue that you have from the endometriosis, which aids in the pain that you have. So I took this for about a month and a half, and it worked by April, because I started probably at March or the end of February, one of the two, I can't remember. By April, my pain has been, minimized since. And I have not started taking these consistently. Like, I don't take these every day. I usually take them like a week maybe before my period, just to, and I'm telling you, my pain has not increased. It has not gone back. Guys, that has been my experience so far with endometriosis. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell so you can see when I post other videos. Other than that, God bless, and y'all have a good day.